Crapper, crapper, crapper. Testing. 1, 2. Everything's in the crapper. Okay, I think I'm coming through all right. Hello to everybody in the chat. Reaper, Ryder, and Sasuke. How we doing today? Sorry if that intro was echoey. I looked down right as I tried to speak and realized I was muted. And went, oh crap, it was playing through 2 audio channels. Oops. Now that I'm aware that I've already screwed up the first 2 minutes of my show, let's see how much better I can go. Oh. See? See? Everything's all screwed up. Let's look at the prompter angle today. And there we go. There we go. Alright, it reloaded. Everything's coming up. Let's get this. Watch it not work.
Welcome to the Great Debate.
Alright, so let's start off today's show by saying I was trying to be daring. A couple weeks ago I had some conversations with Satsu trying to get him on, and part of the problem was my show was too early. I've now corrected that, having an afternoon show twice a week. And after watching a video suggested me by Bear, I sent a tweet to the Quartering to see if he would like to pop on my show for a game, and he said sure, why not, and I sent him an invite. I don't think he's seen it yet because I haven't gotten any responses. And Satsu says not really his thing, so no worries. To each his own. I know not everybody enjoys different types of entertainment. There's things that I find myself, it sounds cool, but it isn't as interesting as it sounds. So if you find that with my show, that's fine. I don't really have a problem. There are a few people here who do enjoy it, so I'm going to keep it going for them and see if there's anyone else out there. Meanwhile, my chat is having a ball playing the game that I'm not even sure how it all works yet. I don't know if you have to type in bone heist when you're ready to actually start the heist. I'm going to open up that page here and I'll look at it so that I can help figure that out. And main bank heist command is bone heist. So maybe the person who started the bone heist, was it Ryder or Reaper? Maybe you have to do bone heist as the command to start it. I'm not sure how it all works. I'm still trying to figure it out. There's not a lot of information about Fussbot yet. It keeps sending me back to the commands page, so I'm trying to learn how to use it. And obviously I'm not writing my commands properly. You have all been boned by Sasuke. Alright, so I have no live guests with me today. And everybody who's here probably knows what that means. That means that the chat is my live guest. Unless somebody DMs me saying, me, I want on. I'm more than happy to throw the link at them. So, later I will be incorporating ways, because Fussbot has a lot of different stuff I can add that I haven't even started with yet. There's ways to make it so you guys can vote on what I'm doing and what to do. And I'm not sure, where did I go? Poll. There's a poll. But there's not enough people here to throw a poll. 7 people to guess what title. I'll just take whatever the first one is somebody wants to throw on the screen, and we will open it up for everybody to throw their input, and we will do the chat game show today. Everybody loves it when I chat with the chat, don't they? We'll even add in some background tunes. Movies. Wow, that was quick. All right. Now, this one's kind of hard. I wrote this one a while ago. I guess it would be kind of hard to do without someone to talk to, but that's all right. I will find a way to manage. You all know I will try. Comic movies. What do you want to see that isn't being done? And why? I am not an adult cartoon person. But I do notice that adult cartoon movies aren't really being done. I guess the Simpsons movie would kind of count. There was a Family Guy movie. See, I'm already wrong. Comedy movies. What does the chat have in mind? Let's see. I can't read off that screen. Let's try the other screen. If you want to jump to the green room. Sure. Let me see. Where am I in my Discord? Alright. Who is it that wanted to join? It was Doku and Reaper. And where are they? I don't see them. Where are they? Where are you? I'm wandering through the dark. Unwanted Reaper's easy to find because he has a special color in my room. And I will put Unwanted Reaper into the On the Show category, which gives you permission to get into the show. And where is Doku? Doku HD. I know you're in here. I just don't know where or what color you are in my Discord. Are you Doku XD in my Discord? Are you in my Discord? Are you in my Discord? Doku? Doku? I got one. That must be Reaper. It is the Reaper because he's the only one that can get in here. Oh, there you are.
We're in the green room, man.
Let's see here. How do I move? There we go. Hey, I'm figuring this out. Look at that.
And the Malevolent also wanted to join, so why not?
Let's give 3 a try. Let's see. Can I do this again? Where did that go?
Yeah, if it's too crowded, I can leave, man. That's no problem.
All right. Well, we'll give it a try. They're both muted, so we'll see what... Oh, nope. He bounced right back out. Oh, he bounced back out because I have this room limited to 3. Let's,
Okay, good.
Let's see if I can't fix that on the fly. Will it let me? There we go. Save. Get out of there. I apologize for the move by move. I didn't realize how to move people.
Oh, wait.
There. There we go.
There.
I figured it out. I got, that one wasn't me. That was him. Alright.
Yep.
I have Doku HL in here, and I have Unwanted Reaper for those watching at home that can't see, and there's 80-something, 76 seconds on the board, if I'm watching the right screen. Did you guys have anything you want to throw into this oddball category that may be the end of the movie category? Comic movies, what do you want to see that isn't being done, and why?
Yeah. Well, that's pretty quiet.
Yeah, I know, right? Maybe this was a bad topic. I think a few of my categories are coming to an end for their viability on this game. I may have to start switching up topics here soon.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe porn, but I bet they already did that.
I tell you what, let me try this a different way. I will give you... Alright, Malevolent Rider is trying to get in still. I see. I'm trying to figure out why it kicks him out. How's that?
Hey.
Hey, we got him. Now we have added the Malevolent Rider. We have 3 people in here chatting and the buzzer's going to go off, so we'll just flick to the next topic because why not?
Okay.
Alright. Who was the first one here? Unwanted Reaper was first. We'll let you go first.
Do I have to say it?
Oh, here we go, here we go. We'll circle the drain.
You know which one, yeah?
If consent apps or forms are used for couples, would there be a point in the relationship where you stop using them?
if you're married.
Why?
Why what?
Just because you're married doesn't mean you can't be raped.
Oh, I'm sorry, I messed up the question.
Yeah, yeah. Well, do we have to go like a South Park? Like every time you want to do something, you have to get a consent form in quadruple, maybe?
Well,
Sign here.
this isn't a huge argument. There aren't a lot of people pushing for this, but you see a small, growing little endeavor to find a way to mark that both individuals were into what they were doing, so that later if one goes, no, I really wasn't into that, it's like, but you signed here, you were into that, so it's okay, right?
Yeah, we got third-rate feminism to thank for that, I guess.
Yeah. Also, I don't
But,
believe the
yeah.
consent forms in the apps, I don't believe they hold up in a court anyways. I remember there being a little hubbub about that, but if you were to use them, at what point would you stop? At what point would you no longer need to ask for consent?
Yeah, maybe never.
Interesting thought. How many of you have slept in the same bed as a woman and woken up in the middle of the night to rouse them?
I'm
Or-
sorry,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so now if you're a consent form person, do you not wake your partner up for both of you to enjoy yourselves because you don't want to have to go figure out where the form, or you can't log into your app, or are you how would you deal with that?
Yeah, that's gonna be a bitch.
It's so isn't she for making you use the damn app.
Yeah. I can barely find the button for my alarm clock in the morning, let alone an entire consent form.
And don't forget to sign your name. You forgot to dot your I. What is it you were looking for before we consent to this? You didn't put that on the form. Did you want anal today? Check that box on the bottom, please.
Yep. Yep.
When the people...
Good boy.
Hey, Joker, you there?
It's alright, he'll jump in when he's...
I'll tell you that in that case, it's better to ask for forgiveness than permission.
No, you just asked them if they enjoyed it when you were finished. If they say yes, that's post-consent.
Yeah.
That's what I go with. That, and
Well,
if she doesn't want it when I'm waking her up, I usually get slapped or pushed.
But my ex-girlfriend, she kind of just said, like, she asked me basically, like, you can do that. So for me, it was no problem. But
Yeah,
it's not about
mine'll tell me
instructions, so-
sometimes. She'll be like, "No, don't wake me up tonight. I'm too tired." And then, or some nights it's weird when you hear, "I want you to wake me up in the middle of the night." It's like, so you want to feel like you're getting raped? I'm good with that.
Yeah, exactly.
Uh,
Everybody's got.
when the people grow up and realize that life isn't like that, is when it would stop. Honestly, I think if there's somebody that's going to sit there and do the consent form in the consent app, then they're probably going to keep doing it for, I don't know. How
Ever?
often do you stop and think about this? Somebody who uses that app is going to be like somebody who uses a workout app that is sort of into it. They're going to go, okay, well, this and this and this are checked. Just sign here on the app and I'll sign and we'll go at it. And about 3 or 4 sessions later, it's going to be, did you want to go for another one? Yeah. Did you want me to grab the app? You know what? Fuck it. Forget about it. We're done with that.
Yeah.
That's just how I see it. The heat of the moment's going to overrule.
I should just be able to talk about it, and there should be no need for any of this bullshit anyway.
Right. Open conversation.
From the guy's perspective, sort of say, I do understand why some men would feel more comfortable with the consent form. Like,
Right.
especially people with a lot of power.
That would be, that right there, that'd be something I didn't even think about. You know, somebody who knew they were in a position would have to add onto their consent form that, I am aware that person A holds such position over person B and it has no influence in our S relationship, and Oh, that would be an interesting caveat to a sexual consent form.
Doku's next.
It would be the Rider, I think it was. Yeah, Doku would be next if his mic was unmuted, so I think we'll go with Rider.
Toys.
Do I
toys.
have him
I
muted?
had to do toys.
Toys. Oh, you're gonna like this. I tried to be creative. The definition of toys is loosely dependent on age. What did you hope to talk about by selecting this?
I just like toys.
I'll shut up. You all know what I'm thinking.
I know exactly where everybody's mind goes.
I just like toys, so.
But okay, so I make a joke with friends of mine, and we lost Doku. I think his mic or something must not be working. Maybe he's busy. It's okay. We hope to have him back.
It's probably refreshing, so.
Sasuke says the adult toys.
At any age.
Sasuke is just like me.
Okay, so think about this. You hand a little kid a present, all wrapped up, nice in a box with a bow, and there's something in there, and you want them to get to what's inside, but they don't care about what's inside because that coolly wrapped box with the bow on it is their toy right now. That's what they want to play with. As you get older, you'll take the box? I'll play with the box all day. But as you get as you get older, I joke with friends and people I know saying that when I go to Lowe's or Home Depot, like the big home improvement stores or any hardware store, tool store, I call them toy stores. Because I'll happily go build or play with tools and do something with those and be just as happy as I was building with Legos as a kid. And then you get the obvious, you know, mental image that when somebody has a show that has the category sex in one quarter and the category toys somewhere nearby, oh, are they related? Let's try that out. Sexual toys. You know, everybody has a different terminology for theirs, and toys could be widely construed.
Scott, toys are for anyone, any age. It doesn't matter.
Oh yeah, hell yeah.
For older people, some are for younger people, so.
I love my toys, man.
I'm going to assume both of you are probably late 20s, probably early to mid 30s.
22.
You know my age. I told you. I turned 34 yesterday, remember?
Yeah, well, I don't.
22,
yeah,
so.
I think you've told me before. You're 22. Okay. Is there anything you still do now that you did 15 or in Reaper's case, you know, 25 years ago?
Yeah, I still got Transformers, Star Wars, action figures, WWE stuff, so.
I remember I finally
I think around that time I was playing Warhammer.
I finally threw one of my toys from childhood away a year or two ago because it broke. I had an old Armatron that I got when I was, I think, 6 or 7. It was a little robotic arm that you'd move things with. Back then it was cool, but I kept it along as like a trinket. Once in a while I'd play with the kids. I handed my son all my Legos, so here and there I'll go up and hang out with my son for 3 or 4 hours and build with Legos.
Yeah.
And then, if you really want to keep your toys around, they could be worth some money someday, so.
Yeah. I keep telling my son that.
And then that would make you a collector, so.
My son has a couple sets of Power Rangers in packages that I came in possession of and told him, listen, you want a little investment? Here, just take these toys and never take them out. Don't play with them, don't mess with them, just set them up, make it look nice.
What kind of Power Rangers?
Yeah, that's what I'm doing with my
Overdrive.
I want to say the late 90s edition. I don't know exactly what it's called. He's got one full set and one partial set from 2 different.
What were the colors?
One set's got white and oh geez, I don't know. Yellow, red, mostly the standard ones, I think.
Yellow, red, pink, green, and black, blue.
Then there was gold, orange.
I don't think the set he has a Gold Ranger.
But yeah, the white one came in a bit later, so it's not the first season models then, I guess. Because they
Um,
started out and they didn't have the white one at all. It was just the red, the black, the yellow, the pink, the blue, and the green, I think.
Actually, the green was later on, but there wasn't no 5.
I could actually go check, but I don't. I'd hate to take away from the show to check on my son's toys.
Hey, though.
Why is that?
Ah, it's okay. The poker is going anyway, so.
Hey, it is the same thing to me, so.
Yeah, I think part of the problem is I have this set up to give people the role of being on the show to come in here, and then I can drag them in. I don't know how it all works. I'm just messing with it. I'm glad it just works. I'll figure it out more as I use it more, I guess. That brings us back to the Rider, because I think Reaper just... No, that brings us back to Reaper. Because I'm a numbskull and I'm behind.
Let the chat pick.
You can, you can get in here now, Doku.
Yeah, we all here?
Hello, Breaker 19. Signal's green on my end. I got rid of the hangout because of all this. So, you want the chat to pick? Let's look in the chat. Who do we still have in chat? Sasuke's in chat. My kiddos are playing with the boxes more than the toys itself. See what I'm talking about? My mom has a bunch of Star Wars toys in packaging and trying to explain to 5 grandkids not to open them is hilarious. When I was in my teens, I used to have a collection of those gas tanker trucks that you could buy every year from the stations. And my niece and nephew were over, and I had gone out, and when I came home, apparently my older sister said that they could play with them off of the shelf, and I did not have them anymore. They were busted up before I got them back that day. So, yeah, I know what it's like trying to collect things and then kids wanting to play with them.
I was that kid.
Whose stereo is blasting outside my house? Nobody. They must have drove by. That's awesome. I hate that. I live in town now. I'm not used to living in town. All right. Somebody's going to pick something, huh, Sasuke? What do you got, Sasuke? You going to pick something for me? Or maybe Doku?
Doku is muted at the moment.
It says it has him on push to talk. I know I turned that off in here. Alright, Doku, if it says push to talk, go to the bottom left-hand corner of your Discord window if you're using the application and not the browser window. Go to user settings. Go over to the bottom and select the push to talk option. I believe it's in there. Or it's under voice and audio and video or something like that. I'm not going to click in it right now because I got a lot of stuff running. Schools, anyway, Sasuke says.
It's on the voice setting.
What good is relying on standardized testing when schools teach students how to pass the test as opposed to teaching the ability to critically think and find the answers?
Oh my God. This is a doozy.
This is a doozy. That's why I went to schools instead of just college. I could open up to a better question range.
In my school it also was, we do get sometimes pointed to this question is most likely to be on the tests, but there were also those questions that they didn't let you know, so you have to think for yourself and you have to actually learn and study before knowing you know everything you need to know.
Okay.
Well, you're shaping young minds, so to them it's like not how you learn, it's how they teach you. That's more important. So
I agree. And this is how I teach my son. I would rather teach you how to use the dictionary than tell you what the word means.
The schools are not like that. Schools think of the opposite because that's how they get the money. That's how they make the money, get their bonuses and everything.
The schools are measured by the ability of the children to pass the tests, especially in America. That started with that Bush, No Child Left Behind, accountability for all something. I forget how that was worded, but that was when standardized testing became a thing.
You ever seen The Simpsons where Bert was like, well, like Bert was at school and like he had to go because they had like a SAT and
yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. It's
oh yeah, I gotta go. My food.
That's fine. Have a good one. All right. Basically, if you are anywhere in the United States, you're gonna see this to an exaggeration. When Bush signed in the No Child Left Behind Act, there was an underwriting in there that said that the schools had to make accountability for how the children were doing and where they were struggling and what the strong points and weak points were so they could be identified and addressed and education could be advanced in those areas for the children that needed it. In the endeavor to do that, I've noticed, and anybody who has children notices, that 20 or 30 years ago when we were in school taking tests, it was a quick quiz once every few weeks, maybe a couple of tests a quarter, a quick final at the end of the year, and maybe a midterm, depending on what the class was. And now it's, there's a test on Monday, there's a test on Friday, there's a quiz on Wednesday, there's a final at the end of the month, there's a midterm, there's a quarterly test, there's testing your ELA, English Language Arts skills, there's testing your math skills, there's testing your comprehension, there's testing this, they're testing that, and it almost seems like they're spending so much time on testing and breaking things apart and trying to make everybody have the same ground that they're not teaching as much information. They don't have any time left to teach how to do this stuff. They're teaching how to get you to the test because that's what's most important now.
Yeah. It's just basically learn to memorize the questions on the tests and forget everything else.
Right. Memorize the variants to the questions that we're teaching you. It'll be worded something like this on the test. And the more you hear that, and the more you hear that coming home from your kids, the more you're going, okay, are you learning to pass the test? Or are you actually learning the material? And when I go back and try to quiz my son on some of this, he's not actually learning the material. He's just learning how to get through the test, and that's all he cares about because that's all they're pushing for. The next week, he's half forgotten what they're teaching.
Give you the test with the answers on them. Like, here, memorize them, you have to fill it in.
I remember my last year into a high school, there was classes that did that. You would spend a month going over previous year's tests.
They're just memorizing things. That's not learning.
We have him back. I don't know if he's got his audio working, but whenever he figures it out, we're more than happy to have him. Hopefully it's not a screw up on my end. Rajan, welcome to the test. Welcome to the test, Rajan. Rajin. They're trying to make ducks run faster, chickens fly, and eagles swim. Yes. It's come to a point where when you ask a child to do a math question, it's so hard for them to do it in their head. When I was my son's age, granted, I understand my son is not quite the intelligence level I'm at. Not that I'm super intelligent or anything. When I was my son's age, I had tricks that I used to use to come to math answers quicker, and my son has a hard time doing his basic multiplication tables because they're not pushing learning the table, they're pushing being prepared for the test. So he's not actually learning the work, he's learning to take the tests every week. And that really doesn't help the people that struggle. You've identified the problem area, but you're not spending any time actually teaching them And when you do need to spend time teaching them, they get removed from the class work that is being regularly assigned to be retaught something or shown or explained or expanded upon. Then they're losing actual class time, which puts them farther behind. So it's really hard to win when you're fighting a test-only system.
Really doesn't prepare them for problems they might have to solve by thinking for themselves later on in life. Like everything is queued up for them, and it's an easy go in, and then they get to the work floor and they notice they cannot solve the problems by thinking.
Right.
They've been conditioned to have everything chewed up for them.
I get kind of angry. Maybe I'm wrong. When I was a kid in school, they'd always tell you if you're not sure what a word is, have a dictionary nearby. And I've always kind of... Yeah, yep. I've always held to that. Always keep a dictionary nearby because there's going to be something you don't know. There's going to be words that you hear that you don't understand and you need to look them up. Granted, now I have a computer, but I have 6 or 7 book dictionaries in my house. I gave my son one. One of the biggest ones, one of the largest ones, it's probably also one of the newer ones because I have ones that go all the way back to the 40s. I give him a dictionary. He has 20 spelling words. I tell him to look it up in the dictionary, and his response to me is, I can't find it. You have a spelling list with the words written in front of you. You have a dictionary with words in alphabetical order. Find the word.
We were actually taught to do that at school. I got learned in school how to use the dictionary.
They're not teaching them anymore.
That's crazy, man.
It's almost like the way that we learned to think about things. They're not teaching them to think. They're just like, okay, we just got to get you through school and out. That you're no longer our problem. Not, hey, we got to do a good job and make sure that we show what we're capable of. It's not about that anymore. It's, hey, we just got to make sure they pass the test and get them out. Pass the test, get them out. Pass the test, get them out. Fail the test, give me funding.
It's crazy. That's all I have to say. But time's up. Next topic.
And that, Rajan, that is exactly what I'm talking about. They teach kids that it's okay to be wrong. You gave it a shot, just take the test. The answer's 4, put it on your next one. That gets on my nerves.
Yeah. And it's crazy.
We just got you, so what would you like to do next?
Let's do something not a lot of people chose till now. Transportation.
Interesting and quirky one.
Yeah, I haven't seen it a lot. Huh?
Vacuum tube transportation, pros and cons. Obviously, beside messing up your hair.
Well, I have 3 millimeters hair, so that's no problem for me. I'm all for it, man.
There's a tube that is being done out west that Thunderfoot, I think his name is. I don't watch him much, but I try to watch some of his content when it does come out. As long as it's solely aimed at science or something interesting. Yeah.
I think I'm following him.
He did one when he came to America. He did a cross-country road trip, and he's been going over these different types of technologies and things that were being done out here. And he keeps checking back in on them. He did one with the tube in, like, New Mexico or Nevada. And it's a vacuum tube that's, supposed to allow for high-speed transportation by eliminating the air, lowering the friction, and allowing for faster velocities. That would be a contained apparatus inside a vacuum tube, but we've all seen the cartoons with people just flying through vacuum tubing if the air is moving. Yeah.
Shut up and take my money. I want my transportation tube.
Yeah, right. I think that would also be fun. Obviously, it would have to be semi-realistic. There'd have to be some sort of shell or something there. They wouldn't be twisty, curvy like that because you can't fold in 90 degrees while you're moving at 30 miles an hour.
Lube them up.
Loop them up and hop in the tube. Here we go. But would this be a viable transportation if something could be figured out on how to work
We're
on
doing it with money, so why not?
We're doing
I
it with
trust my
what?
money to go into a container and shove off to some bank somewhere. So yeah, why not? If it's doable and safe, sure.
Okay. The problem I noted with that Thunderfoot brought up was the composite materials of the tube being above ground in a high heat area. The metal was expanding on the top of the tube at a faster rate than the metal on the bottom of the tube, causing stress and fracturing in several points along it. So this is something that immediately came to my mind when I saw the tube. Maybe you could bounce back your thought on this, but I live in an area where water freezes. And you learn that if you want a drain line or a water line, that it needs to be at least 18 inches, preferably 2 to 4 feet underground, to keep it well enough away from the freeze level of the ground. So,
yeah, I know.
Why wouldn't you use that same concept in a hot area by moving something under the ground far enough the heat on the surface doesn't get to the heat underground? Right? So if we did a vacuum tube system...
that would be really costly because we have to drill and dig, so that would cost a lot of money. But I'm thinking, for one, metal is super conductive. If you put in some cooling points along the way, you can keep the metal at a certain temperature. Also, there's lots of different materials we could use that don't expand so much and conduct the heat a bit better across the entire tube, like carbon, for instance.
Interesting. I see. My first thought would have been, and changing the product and thought would be an idea. But my thought would be, why not put it underground? That would be my instantaneous thought. Is if you're worried about of course, underground offers new problems, but if you're worried about the thermal expanding in heat and contraction in cold, frailability and whatnot, wouldn't you enclose it? Find somewhere you could moderate the temperature, and the only thought to me where you can keep an even temperature is underground.
Yeah, but then you have, I'm stuck. How do I escape problems?
That's true. I want to say
it's pretty easy. You can open the thing, and maybe there's a hatch, something you can open, and you can just get out of the tube.
That's a fair explanation. I didn't immediately think of. Obviously, not a lot of thought is always put into these. The point is to discuss the thought openly without preparation to see what comes out. Let's take a look at the chat. The more you have Common Core in schools, we did that one. Mine were taught how to use Google instead of actual dictionary. I tell you what, don't give them Google because Google will give you Wikipedia. Go to dictionary.com. Just a recommendation. Wikipedia is not very accurate, and Google likes to use Wikipedia. So I don't use Google for words, just for search strings. Before you move, Doku. Hey!
Yeah, we hear you.
There we go. I had to force stop the app. There is a bug.
You know what? I had the exact same problem yesterday and the day before. I restarted my computer before today's show, so I only had a problem getting Fuzzbot up and running.
Yeah, I figured force stopping it would at least hopefully solve the problem, and, well, it did.
It did, and you're just in time to pick the next category.
Okay, what do we got?
Video games, television, virtual reality, what the fuck or fuck the world, platforms, the internet, creator tips, politics, mainstream media, government, LGBTQ plus alphabet, controversy.
Oh. Just out of pure curiosity, I'm gonna have to go with the internet.
The internet. Will governmental restrictions on internet activity spawn a new era of the web? In parentheses, I have dark, www, and new with an asterisk.
Ooh. Well, honestly, I would have to say yes, because governmental restrictions are always going to involve some kind of change, especially in any medium like the internet. Just the same way if you tried to put restrictions on, I don't know, pens or what kind of paper you like, yeah, it's gonna change something.
Currently, a lot of people use. I have Tunnel Bear. I'm trying to think of what the name of them is to block your ISP and your
VPN?
information. Yeah, so that you can go to sites that are listed for other countries. Why can't I think of what?
Yes, well, people like to stay anonymous and they don't want the government to know everything they do. So yeah.
Right, and the point being that these VPNs, yes, the VPNs, the virtual privacy networks, allow you to sort of hide or get around the restrictions. Eventually, the government's going to find a way to look at these purveyors of the VPNs and go, hey, listen, you still have to fall within this. If someone's in this country, you can't give them an ISP number in another country. You can't violate this, and this rule. There's going to spawn some new tech that's going to be, either a higher bandwidth or a higher frequency or some new design or some new communication something that's going to supersede the internet. So right now we have the internet, the World Wide Web, and we have the dark web, which is kind of, from my understanding, having never seen or been involved with the dark web, it's more of a coded side for people that...
You're a YouTuber, you're not a pedophile?
Yeah.
I thought all YouTubers were pedophiles, no?
As someone who's in IT, I'm a network guy. I deal more with hardware. But if you the dark web, as it's called, isn't what a lot of people make it out to be. It's simply you're not using standard servers or routers that are connected to the network that we call the World Wide Web. If you go back to like the early 90s, there is a program called Gopher. Essentially what you're doing is you're just connecting different servers and you're sharing information amongst a small group of
a black market kind of
different
thing.
Databases. It's not something that's out there for everyone to see. Like you have to ping in
black market
server. You need a password. Like you need to know someone. It's not information like it, it's not Google or Wikipedia.
Right.
You can't just type in a web address and it's available to everyone, which is kind of also what the Onion router was. The Onion router is completely different, but it's a good analogy because you need a certain kind of browser to access those domain names. It's not something that you can just type in .com or .org and just pull up. That's really what they mean by a better term would be the deep web. The dark web is, I haven't delved into it, but I know enough about it to tell you that if you try to find the dark web, the real dark web, you're not going to find it.
Right.
Because there's a lot of hoops that you have to jump through, and the vast majority of people, I don't even know where to start. And
yeah,
I've looked into that shit out of just pure curiosity.
But as an intelligent tech person yourself, probably more so than me, especially in your field, somebody is going to be smart enough to create something new that maybe won't even be like the internet. It might be a new type of technology that's going to supersede the current restrictions until the government has a chance to catch up again because of what they're trying to do now. And that's where...
most definitely. Technically, all you would really have to do is come up with a new coding program and let it get widespread enough that that's how information is transmitted and computed. That's where it begins.
Yeah, these kids these days, they grow up with the internet and PCs, and they know a lot about it, and they know how to do it, and they know how to launch it. So yeah, inevitably it will be there.
Let's
Oh yeah.
let's
I'll
throw
admit
this
right
out.
now, I'm no expert. I'm
Let's-
no expert in this kind of stuff, but I mean, we grew up in. I'm assuming you are both around my age. We grew up with the the dial-up modem and everything like that. I never expected that. Exactly. I would never expect that. I mean, hell, here we're doing a live stream and I'm talking on my phone.
Yeah.
10 years ago, there's no way in hell I would ever expected this.
On your phone,
10
I've
years
got
ago,
my...
yeah. 10 years ago, yes, but 20 years ago, hell no.
Do you remember teachers telling you about plastic cards that were going to be getting bigger and bigger and how everything was going to be plastic cards, and now all of a sudden everything's plastic cards with a little microchip in it?
Yeah, and the last time we talked about chips behind the thumbnail.
Yeah. It's... the chips in the hand that they use for... Yeah, I remember the discussion we had the other day about the new technologies and advances in identification and purposing. I think it's only a matter of time, and I think we're going to start actually seeing it soon here with the advancement of the capacity to store and connect wireless devices from one to the next. Somebody's going to come up with a program or an app that you literally have to give to the next person, and it's going to create a new web that literally operates from users and not from servers. That would be my thought, is it's going to be something that works by an individual basis that connects from individual to individual, not through something. Because the moment you connect through something that has a stationary location, the government has the ability to override that stationary location. So if Google is in America, Google has to abide by America's regulations. But if you're not a business and you're just connecting to another person, there's no regulations to prohibit your mode of connection. So I think it's going to be a person-to-person type network and not a company network. Just putting that out there.
Well, it's definitely an interesting concept. I know it's been explored in a lot of sci-fi stories because if you boil it down, the brain itself works essentially the same way that a computer does. It's ones and zeros. Between neurons, are you sending signals between something or are you not sending signals? Granted, the brain is a little more complicated because there's chemicals involved.
The brain is more like the best way to compare the brain versus binomial code is binomial code zeros and ones create a what is it by fours for alphanumeric sequencing that dictates a code or a string to run, which relates to the way the brain sends signals via it'll send the signal and the pathway the neuron transmits through, so where the sparks cross the neuron transmitters and what direction and path that takes dictates the sequence of the knowledge or the activity. So repeat activities build stronger and easier to follow paths of neuron reactions, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So the more you use it, the faster it moves. Well, that's about the same way the code works. Is the code is written out in a way, your pathways start to build and line up to do things in a certain way. So in that way, they are like... Sorry, way off topic there. I apologize.
Yeah. Plus the time is up, man. You're a bad host. Come on, next topic.
I'm horrible at the timer. It's just a concept there.
I don't even know why you have the timer, man.
For when I
just pick a topic and discuss that for 2 hours.
I'm getting ready to take the timer off. I did that, and then one topic went for like 20 minutes. So I was like, I think I need a timer. Let's do 10 minutes. No, 10 minutes is too long. We got to take it down to 5. Now 5 seems too short and too long. It's like, what the hell? I'll just get rid of it again. All right.
You should probably just dedicate certain streams to certain topics.
I did a 9/11 one yesterday.
Yeah. was fun.
Yeah, I showed up there towards the end. Hell,
Yeah.
the next
Yeah.
one you should do should be on quantum computing, things like that.
Quantum
That could be
computing.
Oh, I know nothing about that.
You're
That
gonna
would be
make
interesting.
me read more than I already read just to try and make more time. We'll come up with something. Whatever ends up spiking my interest is like, hey, I'm gonna do another show. It's gonna be about this and maybe other crap too.
Well, if Toku knows about this shit, then let him
Absolutely
come
want
on
him on.
and enlighten us.
Well, just something simple to look into if you want to do some reading. We already talk about binary code in computing. It's it's ones and zeros. It's two-dimensional.
Right.
Imagine if you developed a computing program that all of a sudden incorporated a 3 or a 4. Suddenly it becomes three-dimensional or four-dimensional. That's the way we interact with our universe. That's the way we process information in real time, our physical reality.
Think on the
So
possibility.
yeah, imagine replicating that within a computer program, especially if you can process information as quickly as the human brain. Suddenly
Will
things
be
get
close
very
to
matrix.
artificial intelligence, if I'm understanding this.
Well, we're already delving into that. Something also interesting to look into is evolving the quantum computing thing. Is how do we transmit information? Currently, we're using electrons, but imagine if you use light rays, literally transmitting information between computer chips at the speed of light. Suddenly, your processing power goes way up.
The other thing you think, and I think you just like scraped on this, but I'm trying to in my head trying to go, how do you word this properly? When you have only two, you have to make the strings accompany the amount of information that those two characters need to portray the information they're trying to get across. And computers are all about the speed, so it's how fast it can read that program information and run it. If you go to let's say 0 to 3, instead of 0, 1, it did 0, 1, 2, 3. That makes the code writing on the binomial code, it would make that a whole lot shorter because the combinations you can make from having 4 characters as opposed to 2 characters increase in frequency and allow for more. So when we do cross that threshold into this quantum computing, it will allow computers to do things that now take fractions of a second in microseconds.
Well, not even just that. Think about it more like this. If we're talking binary, ones and zeros, two-dimensional, there is yes and then there is no. It's very black and white. But look at the way that human beings interact. Look at opinions. If you introduce just a 3, a gray area, a middle ground, now there is there is a mechanism to develop discrepancy. There is a way for a computer or an artificial intelligence or just a program to not necessarily just determine whether or not something is black and white, but you can now have an opinion, something that encompasses the best or the worst of both sides of the coin, but is not necessarily black and white. That's reasoning. That is the definition of having quote unquote intelligence or having an opinion.
Yeah, artificial intelligence, yeah.
If we ever develop a program like that, then yes, now we're delving down the rabbit hole of you're not just programming something, you're not teaching it if A then B or if B then A. Now it's if B plus A don't add up, you have C. You're literally teaching something to think for itself if you start developing a coding program that is not binary. Because the human brain does not work in a binary manner. We're opinionated. But also you're going to run into a lot of flaws, and that's the scary part. That's when you run into Skynet. That's when you end up with Matrix. Because it's not something that's just programmed at that point in time. It can make determinations from both sides and come to its own conclusion. but you can't do
Yeah,
that with
maybe
binary
we
programming.
try to preserve itself. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, granted, we're probably very far off from that degree of technology.
Are we
But,
though?
well,
It's
considering at the rate
You're
we're
in
progressing,
IT. You're in IT. I want you to look at the mistake that was just made, and I want you to think about the amount of money and time that's going to be put into correcting that chip processor mistake.
Yeah, you're in the chat, Rajan. I don't see his full name. It becomes self-programming.
oh, and that's the thing. The one thing you would really have to look at is the programming language itself, like the very fundamental basis of the programming language. If there's any flaws in the basis, at the very base level, if you screw one thing up, you could be looking at something that's disastrous.
Or
You could be looking at
mutation
something
or
that's-
evolution, maybe.
Or you could be looking at something that's great. I mean, it could go both ways. As humans, we love to write stories about apocalyptic scenarios, but that doesn't necessarily mean if you create an AI
They could
that
save us.
has benevolent intent, it could do a lot of good for humanity. It might help us understand things about the universe that we don't understand, because let's be honest, not everyone's Einstein.
No.
But
Far from it.
at the same time, if you program it the wrong way, or if it gets the wrong intention, then you end up with Skynet. It's only going to go one of two ways.
Yeah.
Yeah, or I always try to think to the absurd. Anybody in here not see Stargate? I can't think of the name of the little micro creatures that were created by the Atlanteans.
Oh, the Goa'uld?
No, the micro creatures that were created by the Atlanteans.
Oh, I know what you're talking about, and I cannot
You mean
remember.
the one that was inside the guy, the parasited thing that fought
No.
the diseases and stuff?
No, the micro robots that were created by the Atlanteans.
Oh.
He's talking about
I haven't
Stargate
watched it
Atlantis.
that much, and it was a long time ago, so no, I don't remember that.
Anybody in the chat remember what the robots in Stargate Atlantis were called? The replicators.
Yes, yes, the replicators. Those things.
That would be probably an
Nanotechnology.
equally scary scenario.
That would be horrifying.
But
Yeah.
when you start giving them the option to think and decide and self-program, then you're giving the ability to a computer to become its best state. And a best state of something would be the ability to change to adapt to its current surroundings. Therefore, if a computer were to develop intelligence, I think its intention would be to look for the best suitable mode to stay alive, and that would be something like a replicator that would be able to self recreate and advance and manipulate and be able to adapt in whatever situation.
Well, yeah, of course, because you would have the most basic of instincts that organic creatures have, and that's self-preservation.
Yep.
But
Talking about self-preservation, let's go to the LGBTQ alphabet.
Oh, I was just gonna say it has been just over an hour, and as much as I love these conversations, I get way off tangent.
Oh yeah. You have a son. Huh?
There is another show tomorrow morning at 9, and at the rate I'm going this week, I will probably do a 7th show, I think, or 8th show maybe, at 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. We'll find a fun topic to make the title, and then we'll go from there.
I'll be at work, but I'll sure to watch it back.
All right, I appreciate it. And if Doku wants to try and join me, we might just go tech tomorrow.
I'll probably be available.
All right, somewhere around this time, if I do a secondary stream. Again, tomorrow morning at 9 is the Great Debate. I hope you guys enjoyed yourselves. If you didn't, sorry, try again tomorrow. I will be back. Thank you guys for hopping in here and joining me.
Next week, probably.
I appreciate every single one of you in the chat and on the show. And with that, cut to the close.